Well, all right, here we are. It's another Get Ready Saturday. I welcome all our Facebook family and friends and the great members of the Friendship Community Bible Church. Here we are once again for Get Ready Saturday. As you know that every Saturday evening around 6 p.m. we come live and we get ourselves prepared for worship service on tomorrow morning at the Friendship Church, which is in Sugar Land, Texas, in sweet, sweet Sugar Land, which is a place to begin again at Friendship Church. And so I welcome you here to being here with Get Ready Saturday. And for you who are joining us for the very first time, it is called Get Ready Saturday simply because of the fact is that this is the day we prepare ourselves to go to worship tomorrow morning at the Friendship Church. Now, I know we can't be there in person. I know it's virtual and all that, but yet we can prepare our hearts and our minds because God is so wise and God is so smart that even through the airwaves, the gospel is going forward all around this nation and this world. God knows how to create a need for himself. And so we just set aside this time, let's call it Get Ready Saturday, that we can posture ourselves, position ourselves. As I always say, get your tablets ready, charge your phones up, get your clothes ready, because some of you are getting dressed before you watch us live on Zoom and Facebook and Twitter. And I want to thank all you who are Twitter friends who are out there. But it's just an opportunity for us to get ready. I'm so excited, looking forward for the sun to rise tomorrow morning so we can gather together and worship the Lord collectively together. Because I told you before, COVID can't stop our praise. Nothing can interrupt our service of God, and it will never, ever shut down the Church of Jesus Christ. So I'm excited today, and I'm glad that you chose to join us one more time and Get Ready Saturday. Now, you know the protocol. You know the cadence, that we always have a few shout-outs. So I want to give a shout-out to our food pantry, who this week have served over 90 families. So I want to thank you for taking care of the individuals that have come through there, and for all the men and all the women who are laboring. And now that the sun goes down sooner, some of you are there and when it's dark, and you're still dealing in the dark. So we thank God for your dealing in the dark. So we thank God for that. Also, I want to give a big shout out to our prayer warriors. And I shout our prayer warriors out because our prayer warriors do not consist of just members of Friendship. Our prayer warriors from literally all around the country. And this past week, over 170 of you gathered and you called on the name of the Lord. You prayed, and you prayed for the church. You prayed for me, my family. You prayed for the world. You prayed for our government. You prayed for children. You prayed for jobs. And you prayed. And we thank God for your consistency in prayer. Is that what Jesus said? Man ought to always pray and not to faint. And so we're to always be in the posture of praying without ceasing. And that's what you're doing. And that's so encouraging to know that we've got a church that prays without ceasing. Anybody can say, woe is me, woe is us. But to get on your face before God is to admit that, God, I got a problem and you are the answer. And so we thank God for all the men and women who are getting up at 6 a.m. and you are staying until you're through. Some of you are driving. Some of you haven't even had the opportunity to even brush your teeth yet. Some of you haven't even had your morning cup of joe, and yet you're still before the throne of God. So we thank God for that. Also, I want to thank God, Friendship and family, for the Thanksgiving outreach that's taking place next Saturday. I told you guys 3 weeks ago that there were 115 families that we were going to serve as an outreach endeavor for Thanksgiving. And I came and told you 1 week, and you gobbled up all the families the next week. Well, let me tell you a little more scoop on that we've now able to exceed the 115. You have responded so favorably that we've exceeded that. We already got the turkeys. Minister Earl King went and spied out the turkeys. They're already in the freezer, and we're looking forward to next Saturday to a blessing. Now, if it's 115 families, that means conceivably we're going to be ministering to probably 300, 400, 500, 600 people easily. And so I want to just thank you for all your friendship and all your friends and all the watchers who've contributed to this endeavor. And that's not to even count taking care of our very own, because you know Friendship, we're going to take care of our very own. So we just thank God for the abundance in the midst of the time we're in this pandemic. We're still doing ministry. We're still blessing people. And I tell you, we're going to pray with them. We're going to share the gospel with them. We're going to encourage them to keep on keeping on. And so I want to thank you. If you brought your box back, thank you. If you haven't brought it back, bring it back tomorrow. Bring it back tomorrow after service is over. And we're going to bless some people. That is so exciting to see just how the church has just risen up to the call. And I thank God. Also, I want to give a big shout out to all you who are being COVID compliant. as you know that these numbers are starting to spike again for the COVID pandemic, and especially in our surroundings. Somebody even asked me the other day, Pastor Hamilton, can we come back to church? No, not yet. Not yet, not yet. We're not going to put you at risk, put you in harm's way. Continue doing what you're doing, washing your hands, wearing your mask, social distancing. I know it's frustrating. I know you're tired, but don't let this become a political football and you risk losing your life over some pundit who has decided that I'm going to make this some type of rhetorical statement for my own pomposity. No, we're not doing that. We're going to make sure we're going to be wise. We're going to be intentional. As I said from day one, God will let us know when it's time for us to reconvene. I miss you, and I know you miss me. And we miss being together. We miss the proximity, because there's nothing like flesh and blood. If nothing else, the pandemic teaches us the power of Jesus Christ. God loved us so much. He didn't just send us a love letter. He put on flesh and blood. That's what the church really is. It's flesh and blood. It's the proximity. It's the close one. It's the koinonia of one another. So we look forward to getting back together, but not right now. Oh, but you know that tomorrow morning, we're going to heist our hymn. Tomorrow morning, we're going to worship God. Tomorrow morning, we're going to sing. We're going to dance. And I want you to get ready. Put your shouting shoes on for tomorrow. Get yourself ready for tomorrow morning. Get your kids up. There's a time for the children. There's a time for our young adults. And thank all the life group members that throughout this whole pandemic, our small group ministry has consistently gone forward. You've encouraged each other. You prayed, and you rejoiced with those who are rejoicing, and you have grieved with those who are grieving. You have been the church. Thank God for you. So there's so much more I can say, but you know, I got to always leave with a word. And I still kind of been chewing on, kind of been gnawing on, been kind of marinating on the actual bone of the word that I preached last week. And the thing I want to talk about just quickly is that the idea about how God has called us to survive so many things. You've been through so much. Some of you could write a book called Hell and High Water, because you've been through hell and high water for most of your life. And yet, as I said last Sunday, you're still here. And because of the goodness of God. But here is my question for the assembly of believers. That has your still being here, has it catapulted you into service? Because I meet too many Christians who are AWOL, who are not on their post, who are not serving. That if God has called you to survive, He didn't just let you survive so you can just go your way and continue to live however you desire. He wants you to serve Him. You are God's billboard. You are God's trophy. You are God's spokesman. The Bible says you're an ambassador for Jesus Christ. So here's the question. I won't hold you long today. Here's the question. How's your service? Oh, you're still here. You went through cancer. Oh, thank God you went through chemo and you're still here. Oh, you've went through a nasty divorce, but you're still here. Oh, you have gone through dialysis and yet you're still here. You have buried your child. You buried your grandchild and yet you're still here. But how's your service now? Paul says in 1 Corinthians 15:10, Paul says, by the grace of God, I am what I am. But don't miss what he says. He says, his grace toward me did not prove vain. In other words, it wasn't wasted grace. Paul says, because of the grace God gave me, I labored even more than all of them. Paul said, wait a minute, that because God was so gracious to me, that my way of saying, Lord, thank you, my way of demonstrating my thankfulness was through my service. And he said, yet not I, but the grace of God in me. So I'm saying today that somebody needs your gifting. Some of you watching me right now, you are gifted teachers. You are gifted encouragers. You have the gift of giving. You have the gift of faith. You got a multitude of gifts. You have the gift of mercy. You got a gift of hospitality. You have the gift of leadership. You have the gift, and yet your gift is sitting on the shelf. I know we can't gather together in the church, but you can sure reach out to somebody. Your gift still works outside the sanctuary. It still works outside the temple. So I want to encourage you today that if you have not been actively involved, that is not just for God to spare you. God has spared you that you might serve Him. So where are you going to start? Where are you going to start? Maybe you ought to call somebody tonight and intercede for them. Maybe you ought to call somebody tomorrow, some pastor, some friend, or call your church or call your deacon or your elder and tell them, you know what? I have been absent without official leave. I have been an AWOL saint. But today, I want to let him know I'm back on my post. Oh, may you get back on your post, because lives are depending on you being back on your post. I think John had it right in John 9:4 when Jesus said in John's gospel, work while it's day, because night's coming and no man can work. Oh my goodness, nighttime's around the corner, y'all, but it's a good day to work. I thank God for you. Call somebody, tell somebody, invite somebody to be at the Friendship Church tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. And we're going to let God be God, and we're going to be in awe of a great and mighty God whom we serve. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow morning at Friendship, which is a place to begin again.